I recently experienced an incredibly painful and unexpected betrayal when I discovered that my girlfriend was being unfaithful to me at a nightclub. The fallout from this revelation was swift and devastating. Her parents, upon learning about her infidelity, decided to sever all ties with her, leaving her without any support. In her desperation to cover up her actions, she lost everything she had worked for. Instead of taking responsibility, she tried desperately to deny the affair and shifted all the blame onto me. To provide some context, I am a 28-year-old man, and she is a 25-year-old woman. This all unfolded just a few hours ago when I caught her cheating with a random guy at a club. A bit of background: one of my girlfriend's friends sent me some Snapchat images showing them at a club they frequented regularly for about a year and a bit. This in itself wasn't surprising since my girlfriend thoroughly enjoys partying with her friends. They had been having these girls' nights out consistently. However, as I sifted through the snapshots, I noticed a man in the background who seemed to be getting unusually close to her. Trusting my instincts, I felt uneasy about this developing situation. Acting on my concerns, I checked her Snapchat score and decided to send her a message. Admittedly, I've never been the type to monitor her social media so closely, but my anxiety was overwhelming. Her Snapchat score spiked by 42 points almost immediately after I reached out, indicating she was actively messaging someone else and deliberately ignoring me. I confronted her by pointing out that her night didn't seem as boring as she had claimed, based on the pictures her friend had sent me. She responded by saying she needed to maintain her image and appear as though she was having a good time in front of everyone. Moments later, she sent another snap, claiming she had a headache. Concerned, I offered to come and pick her up. She read my message but didn't reply. Persisting, I sent another message asking if she wanted me to collect her, and immediately, the snaps from her friend ceased, and she stopped updating her story altogether. Out of worry, I decided to message her friend to check if my girlfriend was alright and if she needed a ride home. Unfortunately, my message went unopened. As I lay awake that night, my mind was a whirlwind of worry and frustration. Why wasn't she responding? Why did her friend abruptly stop sending snaps? And who was this mysterious man? The image of her with him kept replaying in my mind, heightening my anxiety and making me feel that something was terribly wrong. I couldn't shake off the suspicion that there was more to their girls' night out than she was letting on. Finally, I made the difficult decision to get out of bed and drive to the club where she was supposedly spending the night. Perhaps I was overreacting, but I needed answers. Normally, I'm not someone who acts impulsively like this, but something didn't feel right. The drive to the club was filled with anxious thoughts about what I might find there. Would she be okay? Was she genuinely sick? Or was all of this just my imagination running wild? I couldn't help but worry that I might come across as a crazy boyfriend if my suspicions were unfounded. It was especially confusing because just a few weeks ago, I had genuinely considered marrying her. Everything felt so tangled and bewildering. When I arrived at the club, I felt foolish for doubting myself as I approached. However, my fears were confirmed the moment I walked inside and saw her sitting intimately with a man I had never seen before. They were passionately kissing in the back of the club, seated together in a private booth. Her friend was the first to notice me and quickly approached to inform her that I had arrived. In response, she shoved the man away and tried to downplay the situation, but he swiftly left the scene. Confused about where he had gone, I confronted them. She attempted to convince me that there wasn't another man there and that I was imagining things, but it was clear to me that what I was witnessing was exactly what it appeared to be. Our argument escalated quickly, and her friend intervened by alerting the security staff to remove me from the premises. Before I knew it, security was escorting me out of the club, and I was left to drive home in a state of shock. Once I was home, I sat down on my couch to process everything that had happened. She tried calling me, but I chose not to answer. Instead, she sent me a series of texts accusing me of overreacting and not trusting her, claiming that I had lost control and had no right to confront her in such a manner. In her messages, she insisted that I was exaggerating the situation and threatened to leave, saying she would pack her things and stay with a friend. I was left utterly confused and heartbroken, unable to understand why she had acted this way. Despite seeing her with another man, I was still grappling with the emotions of betrayal and the abrupt end to what I thought was a serious relationship. Reflecting on our 5-year relationship, I realized that this was the second significant relationship I had been in, and it had not ended well. Life had a way of burning me, and my ex-girlfriend knew about my past, how my high school girlfriend had tragically passed away, leaving me unprepared for another serious relationship at such a young age. Perhaps I had rushed into this relationship without truly understanding who she was. I vividly remember the day we met at my first music festival, an event my friends had dragged me to despite it not being my scene. I love music, but I'm not a fan of large crowds, which is why I rarely went out to clubs with her. Instead, our outings often turned into girls' nights, while I preferred to stay on the sidelines with a book in hand, content with my solitude. Then, out of nowhere, she approached me. She had striking purple hair, an incredible physique, and was dressed in a fairy-like costume adorned with glitter. It felt like a scene straight out of a movie. There was a sudden gust of wind, and the scent of her perfume filled the air. She noticed me sitting alone and, without hesitation, sat down beside me. She suggested that we take turns reading my book aloud, and that was the beginning of our love story. Unfortunately, it has now come crashing down, revealing itself to be nothing but a lie. This captivating woman had completely enchanted me, and I always believed she was out of my league. We were complete opposites. I was an introvert, while she was the most extroverted person I had ever met. Her vibrant personality and stunning looks seemed like the perfect complement to my reserved nature. She pushed me out of my comfort zone by dragging me to festivals and events, while I preferred blending into the background with her by my side. I appreciated how she encouraged me to explore new experiences, even sharing my hobbies like hiking and playing video games. However, in hindsight, I realized she was trying to change me into someone I'm not, and now I feel like I don't even recognize myself anymore. About 2 years ago, I landed an intense opportunity to work as an IT technician at a startup founded by a friend. This role pushed me to my limits, fulfilling a long-held ambition, but it required long hours and a significant amount of overtime. As a result, I lost the desire to go out on weekends or attend clubs and shows during the week. I just wanted to stay home and decompress, but she wasn't interested in that lifestyle. I didn't want to be the boyfriend who dampened her spirits or prevented her from enjoying what she loved. So, she would go out, and I would stay in, playing video games. Eventually, I discovered who the guy she was with at the club was. He was the manager of that very club she frequented with her friends during their girls' nights out. He organized pub crawls and other events, and that's how they initially met. She had gone on a St. Patrick's Day pub crawl around the time I started my new job. She kept insisting that he was gay, but a friend of mine revealed that he was actually quite the ladies' man. I didn't believe a word she said. It became clear that she was using the girls' nights as an excuse to meet him, and she had been planning to meet him all along. Now, a week has passed since all this happened. I went to her place with 2 of my friends to collect the rest of my belongings and pack up my tools from the workbench I had set up there. Her mother happened to be there, and she wasn't expecting me to inform her that I was leaving her daughter. She was visibly shocked when I told her that her daughter had cheated on me. Her reaction was so intense that she looked like she was going to vomit. I confirmed my statement, and she immediately turned red, asking if it was true. My ex-girlfriend then started attacking me, calling me a liar and accusing me of fabricating the whole situation to cause trouble with her mother. She insisted that I had no idea what I was talking about and denied that there was even another man present, labeling me as someone who was insecure and looking for an excuse to end the relationship. Our argument grew heated, and her mother intervened, shouting at her daughter in front of me and demanding to know who she thought she was and how she could treat me like that. Her mother had known that I was considering marrying her daughter. I had even asked both her father and hers for her hand in marriage. They had loved me like their own son, which was something I deeply cherished, especially since I never had a great relationship with my own parents. Her mother brought up the fact that I had asked for her daughter's hand in marriage, saying that she had ruined everything and had completely messed up her life and future. As a result, they decided they wouldn't support her with her master's degree in psychology anymore. They also informed her that she had to handle her own bills since she was no longer living with us. Her mother bluntly told her that she was on her own now. At that point, things erupted. They were both yelling at each other while I hurriedly packed up the last of my things. I had no choice but to leave, unable to handle the confrontation any longer. My friends were incredibly supportive, helping me pack quickly and get out of there. I moved in with a buddy temporarily until I could find my own place. We also shared a checking account, so I withdrew all the money and transferred it into my savings. I cancelled her car insurance since I was the one paying for it, and there were tickets for a few concerts she had persuaded me to attend, concerts I really didn't want to go to. I sold those tickets as well. We were on the same phone bill, so I cancelled that too, although I had to wait until the next billing cycle for her name to be completely removed. Shortly after, she realized that I had taken the money from our shared account. She called me in a rage, claiming she couldn't pay the bills that month. I responded by pointing out that it was my decision to block her number. She then tried to reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram, but I wasn't having any of it. She posted pictures of herself and the other man, with his tongue in her mouth, and sent me sexually suggestive memes on Instagram, trying to make it seem like he was gay. Her logic was flawed and didn't make any sense, so I went ahead and blocked her on those platforms as well. She then tried to communicate with me on Snapchat, accusing me of owing her money and making her homeless. She also mentioned that she had been in a car accident which had cost her a fortune, how she had learned the hard way that I had cancelled her insurance policy. Her friend, who went to the club with her, attempted to reach out to me, claiming that I was being an asshole by treating my ex this way and abandoning her when she was in need. I blocked her friend too, and eventually, I removed all of her friends and family from my social media accounts. I can't deny that I'm still in a lot of pain. I've moved into my own place and finally have my own space, but I haven't started dating anyone new yet. I still feel an immense emptiness inside. In my latest update, I shared that it's hard to describe my feelings right now beyond being angry, experiencing jealousy, feeling a desire for revenge, and a deep sense of shame. All of these emotions are tangled together, making me feel incredibly low. It's difficult when you imagine a future with someone, and then everything changes in an instant. I spent my days going through the motions, with the weight of betrayal heavy on my heart. The silence in my empty apartment was deafening, serving as a constant reminder of the void she had left behind. I genuinely believed our relationship was forever. I tried to distract myself with work and hobbies, but nothing could fill the emptiness she had created. However, things started to improve when my friend invited me to join him at the gym. Initially, I was hesitant, but I began attending regularly. Over time, I gained the confidence to go on my own. I had never been the type to go to the gym, but gradually I started feeling like myself again. It might sound trivial, but the improvement was significant. Her parents remained in touch, welcoming me to visit whenever I wanted and assuring me not to remain a stranger to them. They decided to cut off all contact with her. Her mother explained that they had stopped supporting her financially for her master's program, which meant she couldn't pursue her degree. They also doubted that she had a stable job, considering her position was only a 12-month contract. They believed she was living with the friend she had gone to the club with because she couldn't afford our place on her own. Her parents mentioned that she had tried to stay with them but was turned away because they felt she was freeloading. They expressed that they loved me like a son and wished I were their own child, which was bittersweet because I truly loved them. However, sometimes it felt like they were part of a past I had moved beyond. Before her parents went no contact, she continued to try to convince them that the other man was gay, even though she was posting affectionate pictures of him on social media. She denied that anything had happened between them, claiming that if it did, it was because they were both drunk and that she never intended for it to happen. She insisted that she didn't remember anything from that night and that it was all harmless fun. Her parents responded by saying that, while her explanations were nice, they didn't align with the events of the past year. They pointed out that she was so deep in the mess that she couldn't differentiate right from wrong. A mutual friend later informed me that she is no longer with the man, as he dropped her like a hot potato and was eventually fired from the club for harassing women during pub crawls and with the female staff. My friend still has her on Facebook, and she's been posting videos and stories claiming that she has lost everything and that her family has disowned her because I fed them lies about her. She portrayed it all as a big misunderstanding, painting me as the heartless one. This situation has made me question our entire relationship and how many times she might have cheated on me in the past. She had gone on weekend festivals with friends without me, hoping she could fully enjoy the experience. Now, I'm left wondering if she was truly immersing herself in those events or if there was more going on behind the scenes. I find myself unable to trust anything she ever said to me. Seeking help, I booked several therapist appointments to talk to someone impartial who didn't know either of us or our relationship. It was comforting to have someone to talk to, and I'm really looking forward to those sessions. Additionally, my own parents visited me and stayed for a week, which was wonderful. It felt nice to have people around, making my place feel lived in and cozy. However, things took another unexpected turn when she managed to contact me through a blocked number, which I had assumed was my therapist's office. She called back, attempting to apologize and claiming that she hadn't cheated on me before meeting this other man. She admitted that it had happened a few times and said that he had been forcing her to do it. Initially, she explained that she only cheated because I wasn't giving her enough attention and that I spent too much time playing video games instead of going out with her. She accused me of not making her feel pretty and not caring about her appearance, making her embarrassed to go out with me or be seen in public. I couldn't believe I had listened to her long enough to hear such accusations, and I hung up the phone immediately after she began pleading for another chance. She promised that she would change and do whatever I asked. Regardless, I informed her parents that she had reached out to me again. They found it amusing and told me that she had attempted to visit them as well, but they refused to let her inside. They warned her that if she tried to come around again, they would call the police. They mentioned that she seemed to have all her belongings in her car, suggesting that she might be living out of it now. Moving on to the second story, it's about a different kind of betrayal involving an ex-husband who cheated and left me for his 18-year-old assistant, only to attempt to crawl back into my life after 17 long years. I am a 49-year-old woman, and my ex-husband is Jake, a 53-year-old man. Together, we have 3 children, Kyle, who is 18, Carter, who is 21, and KNX, who is 25. During the time I was pregnant with Kyle, Jake was having an affair with his assistant, Abigail, who was just an 18-year-old freshman in college at that time. Abigail ended up getting pregnant with their child, Lizzie, a year later. When I refused to take him back after discovering his infidelity, we got a divorce. Jake then married Abigail and had 2 more children with her. He paid child support but only saw the kids once a month. If one of the children needed something, he would provide it, but he never answered their phone calls unless it was necessary. He never showed up to any of their sports games or plays. However, when his aunts and mother were involved, they would attend because they are high-powered lawyers. Jake needed their approval and constantly sought to impress them. His family is quite shallow. If someone isn't in a prestigious position, they look down upon them, and any form of gossip is seen as damaging. They would often yell at me for making the family look bad. In front of them, Jake would boast about everything he did for the kids, but in reality, he did very little. My children saw their family vacations and initially felt hurt, but they eventually ignored it. Jake explained to them that it was because I took them on 2 vacations every year, while Lizzie only got 1. He claimed that Lizzie didn't want to go and that's why she wasn't included. However, during a Christmas party, Lizzie was talking to her great-aunts about an upcoming trip to the Dominican Republic. Kyle overheard them discussing it and realized that they were actually planning a family vacation without him and Carter. He asked Lizzie about their plans, and she mentioned that their dad had said they had other plans. Kyle pointed out that neither he nor Carter had any plans, so they would love to join. This is where the problems began. Having my children so far away from their father was always unsettling for me, so I decided to go on vacation with them. His wife wasn't pleased, but since I'm still close with his family, it wasn't entirely awkward. During dinner, my daughter and Carter shared that they attended very prestigious colleges, and my oldest was in medical school. His mother inquired about all the kids' achievements, and my daughter proudly announced that she had been chosen for an internship at a tech company. Everyone congratulated her, and his mother beamed with pride, ready to praise her. But then, Lizzie revealed that she was pregnant. The room fell silent, including Jake's. Everyone began to question Jake and Abigail's parenting. Jake then shifted the blame onto Lizzie, claiming that her behavior was the reason for the children's success. I was fed up with the lies and confronted him, explaining that he was never truly there unless his family was present to maintain appearances. When asked if this was true, he tried to deny it, saying of course it wasn't. Kyle added that he hadn't even invited his aunts and cousins on the vacation and accused Jake of lying about everything, calling him a terrible father. Kyle then stormed off, and my sons followed her. Later, I received a text from Jake thanking me for ruining his family, but I didn't respond. I do feel a pang of guilt because perhaps it wasn't the best time or place for my confrontation, but given everything that had happened, I felt justified. The consensus among others was clear: I was not the asshole in this situation. The top comments echoed this sentiment, emphasizing that Jake had brought all the negative consequences upon himself and that I had no obligation to tolerate his behavior. They pointed out how people often blame others for their own mistakes and commended me for standing up against his deceit. On February 23, 2024, I provided an update explaining why I felt compelled to go on vacation with my kids. I have always been best friends with Jake's sister, and we had been going on trips together since high school. I've always been a mother first and would never intentionally put my kids in a situation where I couldn't reach them. After the situation at the Christmas party escalated, I received a call from Jake's wife, claiming she couldn't find her husband and threatening me about being in her room. I assured her that Jake wasn't there and hung up. Then, there was a knock on my door, and Abigail barged in, screaming that Jake was inside. I let her search my room because I was confused about what was happening. When she couldn't find him, she sat on my floor silently crying, which made the situation incredibly awkward. I didn't know how to handle it, and asking her to leave didn't feel right, so I gently inquired about what was wrong. She explained that over the past 17 years, Jake had been verbally abusive, blaming her and Lizzie for ruining his happiness. She revealed that Jake had promised to leave me for her, but every time she asked when he would follow through, he lashed out at her. In desperation, she had gotten pregnant to trap him into staying with her, but Jake tried to pay her off to end the affair. When I found out and filed for divorce, Jake thought it was best to just leave me and be with Abigail. However, every day he would berate her and call her useless, constantly cheating on her. She stayed with him because she had dropped out of college and hadn't worked since she started at his office 18 years ago. She apologized for barging in and then left. I sent Jake a text suggesting he check on his wife because she seemed unpredictable at that moment, but he didn't respond. I went to bed, hoping everything was okay, but the next morning I woke up to a lengthy text from Jake. In his message, Jake apologized for abandoning our marriage, admitting it was the biggest mistake of his life. He expressed regret for not being more involved with me and the kids, and how much he hated seeing Lizzie and Abigail every day. He explained that he had taken on more work hours to stay away from them, which had adversely affected our children. He claimed that Abigail had told him everything and that he was finally happy now that the truth was out, allowing him to distance himself from them. Jake expressed hope that after all this time, I could forgive him and that we could repair our relationship. I responded by explaining that there was no need for a relationship between us anymore since I had remarried and the kids were grown. I advised him to focus on repairing his relationship with their mother and children. He didn't reply to my message. I informed my kids that I was planning to leave early from the vacation, encouraging them to enjoy the rest of their trip. Kyle wasn't keen on staying, but Carter and KNX were fine with it, so I left. When I later texted my sons to ask how the trip was going, they informed me that everything was a mess and that Jake and Abigail weren't speaking to each other. The top comments on the story reinforced that I was not in the wrong. Many people echoed sentiments like, "NTA, not the asshole," emphasizing that Jake had only himself to blame and that his actions warranted the negative consequences he was facing. Comments highlighted how Jake deserved the backlash he was receiving and commended me for not tolerating his deceitful behavior. Throughout these tumultuous events, both stories reflect profound experiences of betrayal, resilience, and the complex dynamics of relationships. They highlight the emotional turmoil that comes with discovering infidelity, the challenges of confronting deceit, and the journey toward healing and self-discovery. Despite the immense pain and confusion, both individuals have taken steps to reclaim their lives, seek support, and move forward, demonstrating strength and courage in the face of adversity.